We're through yet another draft, and once again, according to what the media says and everything you read, all of these players are going to pan out. Instead of the 35, 40 out of a whole class, pretty much everyone is in the clear this time. Welcome back to the two-line pass. Since everyone else is focused on why a player might make it and show off only the plays where they succeed, I'll try to provide a more balanced perspective.
I'm just going to do a quick history lesson.
In 1989, Lou Lamoriello was the general manager of the New Jersey Devils. They drafted
With the fifth pick overall, Billy Guerin. Oliver Wahlstrom is this generation's version of Billy Guerin, the way he plays the game. This is a very good pick.
I think he's a better goal scorer than Billy Guerin. But Philip Zadina, when I talk about a really well-rounded offensive player, David Pastrnak comes to mind. And for the Detroit Red Wings, they're looking at a player that I think they can really hope to be in their lineup at the beginning of next season.
I love this guy as a player. I really think he's going to be a good NHL player because he plays the game the right way.
Coaches love him. His dad's a scout for the LA Kings now.
Got tremendous vision, tremendous composure. His panic point is he doesn't have one. And he's got tremendous offensive upside. He's got a chance to be a quarterback-style defenseman in the National Hockey League. Not an overwhelming physical presence out there.
Rob Niedermeyer has been compared to Rangers captain Mark Messier.
I don't show those clips because I'm going to get everybody right 10 years down the line. I'm going to get people wrong too. But what I want to get right is elements. I want the process to be good, the scouting process to be good. I want to do the work on it. And if the players don't turn out 10 years down the line, well, that's too bad. I don't wish failure on anybody who doesn't earn it. I hope all these kids play. In case they don't, here might be why. And not to stifle conversation, but I know the blanket statement comments that you get if you cross into not positive territory on prospects. So here's the internet disclaimer, and away we go. All right, on Everybody Plays, let's start out with Will Horcoff, the Penguins' 24th overall pick in 2025. Let's just dive right in here. Throws a hit early. Take a look at the skating stride. I know he gets knocked for his skating a little bit, but the output isn't high right now, but it's not quite so bad. We'll touch on that in a moment. Okay, next shift. Doesn't finish that hit on a vulnerable player. You see that hit in high school and college. It's a tough spot, but we're just amassing clues. But the lack of explosivity here shows he can't get corner on this defender. Contact balance is a plus, but he looks unable to dig in to maybe get back inside the Spartan defenseman. Again, a tough spot where we're just stringing clues together here early on. I'm a little surprised he came off the boards here, even if you say, well, the point man has his back, and that's true, but that's a bracketed player under big pressure. Can you really get it all the way back to the point there? If he doesn't provide high support, I'd rather him call low, 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 and then jump down to the corner, because with Horcoff's size, there's a bit of an advantage there, but oh well, it didn't happen. No big deal. I'd love foot churn through the recovery here, but foot churn just isn't really on the table here yet. Skating, let's go back to that. I know a lot of people are knocking his skating, and the output, it's low right now. That said, I look at the mechanics of this, and I think there can be ordinary course improvement here. I think he'll be faster at the top end in a couple of years. I think his shoulders will pull back from being out in front of his toes as his core gets stronger. I don't suspect he'll be explosive on the first step, but I think I see elements of getting to average or above speed. I think he might be able to get off his center line to lean through turns and be a threat on his edges in the future. We'll circle back to that. On a 3 to 9 scale, skating's probably a 4 right now, below average, but it could be a 5, which is about average, or 6, which is a little better as a pro. I guess he's not expecting a puck here. That's a tiny bit interesting to me. Good segue. This is not my first game watching this player, but in making this video, it was my first time watching this game. That's to see if the patterns that I see in other games hold up in the one that I cut up. I'm really surprised that this player doesn't stick his nose in the play more. Big guy, not a good skater, not very skilled, not productive hardly at all, but evidently a 24th overall pick. So I want a hook, and I want it to be pronounced. Look at the flow of this play. You can throw a blanket over all 5 guys in white, so there's no weak side rotation to babysit. I'm not saying you have to fly in there with a knife in your mouth, but in watching his games, it feels like everyone is on a mission and he's on a walk. Teams want to build the Florida model because it's hot. Big maulers, guys that dig in, inside leverage, defensive viscosity guys. I'd like to just see hints of a player type here as we go along. I don't know what this player purports to be. Next shift here, no pressure, pass to feet. These are tougher passes than people give them credit for because it's double speed. The puck's going backwards and the player's going forward. If this is a 6th round pick, who cares? Trade up in the 1st round though to get this player. I'd like to be better at things. Okay, so again, what's your deal? Sort of your turnover. You always work hard after your own turnover, right? We got to think this puck is going up the ice quick on the sudden change. 2 ways I think are acceptable here. 1, cut hard and take the only pass receiver on the rink in the middle of the ice away. Or be a winger, push up and babysit the D as your mates complete a line change. Make sure the strong side D isn't available right after the entry. Okay, clear declaration. He's going to push up and babysit the D. That signals to all the other guys behind him that he's going to work with the D and prevent a pass back to them after the entry, because in a line change situation, you tend to Chinese fire drill it back to the middle of your own zone. Opponents are open on the edges at the least. So let's see. All right, hang on. What do we got here? Where are we in the world? What happened to babysitting the defense? You just have outside and behind protection on a player that is already covered inside and in front. Not to mention it has to get through the attacker that's on the puck. Yeah, you're a big mauler. Stops up way short on the half boards here. All right, mistime your route. Oh, not entirely your fault. That was a bit of a stumble behind the net. Let's adapt and adjust. I'd have a lot of interest in this weak side rotation route, and I can even take it way outside if I want, because I'll have an opportunity to tap this into the middle, like how this shift started, remember? Oh, now we have clear and full possession. Why are we coming back to the puck like this? He found covered space. He's not an outlet now, but it'd be so easy to be one. And instead of a clean out, we have an icing. Yeah, so what else here? Okay, totally unpressured puck touch. You can even turn and look up, ice. You can fake the backhand to freeze this guy and then put it to this guy and then activate. Okay, we still have it, but we can peel off the wall a little bit. We can find the center outlet here. That pass doesn't even have to be super on point because there's room. All right, we can rub it on the kick plate for good luck, I guess. Okay, that's fine. It breaks the routes up high, but whatever. It's an accurate pass against the flow. I'll take it. Boy, I wonder a little bit about just the creativity of this player. There's not a lot of confidence in how this goes sometimes. The passing routes, you see it especially. The seam creation from him is a 0. Looks like he gets a piece of this. He's going to support this rush fine. Then there's a penalty on state back there. Power play time. I think he got half or more than half of his points on the power play in his time with Michigan. 3 of the 4 goals. I think the other one was an empty netter from center. So maybe that's going to be a piece of the identity. After just a handful of seconds, this group comes off. I saw this quite a bit. You don't find a ton of defensive zone faceoffs on the power play, but at least you hope not. But it seemed like the Horcoff grouping always came off when they did. He doesn't touch the puck in transition right now. That might have something to do with it. Gets back out there later in the same power play and takes an interference call. Some folks will boo that, and that's fair enough. But refs are really sensitive to guys being allowed to skate backwards unmolested, especially on the power play. The onus is on the player that can see. That's a call I would make too. All right, 2-man advantage time. He wastes no time getting to the front. I wish he had kept track of the goalie's eyes when a shot was imminent. Learning net front physics is harder than folks think. Patrick Hornqvist worked hard. But he was a technician in a lot of ways too. It's not just the willingness to go in front. There's more to being a net front guy. So I assume that Horcoff is good. That's going to be a main part of his identity. So I assume he'll pick up some things. Crosby's a good teacher. All right, so he rotates up high to the high slot here. This is a tough play to execute quickly, and he does an okay job. His shot has impressed me. Quick release. I suspect he might be able to score from the lowest layer of the offensive zone one day. Alright, no excuse here. That's a pass that needs to be caught 100 times out of 100. Let's get serious here. This is a Redeem Zahorna level dropped ball. Because Michigan State doesn't have anybody on the rink, they can recover it, but still, his pass catching is worrisome at this point in his development arc. I don't know all the Michigan 5-on-3 power play plays, so if this is the start of a set play, then shut my mouth. But does he have any sense of how open he is at the top of the crease with the puck? Take it to the hole. You're at the hole. You don't have to do anything but slam this thing in there. Instead, he waddles it out to a right-handed shooter on the right wall. Doing all right in front here. Then he gets taken out of the picture definitively by a 6'1", 189-pound D-man. I still come away wishing he had more fight in him. Power play again. Nothing happens, but look at the time. 18 seconds, defensive zone face-off. Off comes Horcoff. I know transition isn't your thing, but maybe try to tie up someone's stick at the line to make some room. Okay, nice touch back to the point here. I'm into it. Things get a little herky-jerky. He doesn't really get involved because he's not involved in transition, fair enough, but here's where I have a problem, and it's a clear trend in every game I've seen. It's a gift to have this level of technicals and still get power play time at this level. Well, find a way to contribute beyond just some of the time near the net, right? Here's a loose puck. I sure would like a stride into the fray here instead of this milquetoast reach. So again, you circle back and you go, all right, well, he's not acutely aware of everything going on, right? Hockey sense is above average, I'd probably say, in my viewings. Maybe it's a 6. The compete is lower than I'd expect, generally speaking. He turns it up sometimes, and we'll see that in a second. But he's not consistently involved. He's not very skilled. So this is a project. Let's see. He gets this puck first. Pretty awkward going into the wall. Not sure if he was going to try a deceptive maneuver or not, but it ended up being a good enough play. Then there's another retrieval opportunity. I guess he tries to tap this back here diagonally. This isn't the time for that. That's not a good play. I'd really like to see, and I'll see if I can find a sample of this, of just getting position before puck. Just start building little things to your game. You don't have to come back next year and be spinning the puck on your finger. I just want to see improvement on stuff that you can control, like board play. 79-80% of the game is played within 3 feet of the boards. I'd like to see you own it at the level that you're at. I was really hoping this player would be reminiscent of Shane Pinto back in 2019. He didn't blow the doors off production-wise when he got traded to Tri-City. At least I don't recall that. He was used in a similar role as Horcoff on their power play. Why I liked Pinto so much was the puck magnetism that he had and how well he managed all the ice in the middle of the rink. But on the power play, he was in the slot and near the net, and he always got pucks back. It was Zach Jones to that Swede that didn't get picked, over to Ronnie Attard for a one-timer. Pinto would get the puck back, get it back to Jones, to Brendan Fury, to Attard. He'd crush it wide again. Pinto would get it back again. It didn't generate a lot of points for him overall. He was just a fetcher, but he was so great at his role, it was tough not to notice. I thought he should have been a top 15 or 20 player in his draft year. It didn't go that way, but he's been a very good NHLer now. Pinto looks much, much better at the same age in really every notable way. Hockey IQ, compete, skill, skating, than Horcoff. But let's get back to Horcoff here. So nothing happens early in this shift. And then coming back the other way, we have a bit of a sort situation here. Defensemen are in charge here. Back checker, you pick up what they tell you to pick up. This is a good find by Horcoff. The only thing I'll say here is, once again, look at where we're coming from. We're trying to pick up pucks from the rescue copter again. Early in the process, the feet stop moving. Now you'll go, hey, he blocked the pass, leave him be. And that's fair. But we're talking about where you can progress to. My preference isn't to get a fourth liner in the first round. Fourth liners block stuff. Higher end players take stuff. If he gets body position before he addresses the puck, this is tailor-made for him to turn and take and maybe create a sudden change situation. But he's worried about puck touch before body, and it leaves him exposed. So here, we're so way out with the stick that it's difficult to get puck control for a player of this skill level here. It's harder to keep it because you can't create what I call automatic puck protection. So even if he does get it, keep it, he's not going to be able to hold on to it because he's just got to get his stick lifted again. So he got the block, but he didn't get the takeaway. And that's one aspect we're going to want to track when talking about his progression. Obviously, it's not a finished product. I think that's what the introduction of this video is for. But this little stuff matters a lot because he's a ways off from having top 6 upside, in my opinion. I wouldn't project this player anywhere near that right now. So I'd like to build that base of strong fundamental play, kind of install the floor before we work on the ceiling in some respects. Now, with the puck on the point here, I like the term defensive viscosity. Some guys have it at a young age. Horcoff is not sticky. He really is not a lane or route interrupter in any way right now. His check gets more than a stick's reach away from him into the slot. Don't love that. It's tough to exact your pace control with the current state of these feet. He thinks he needs to get a good lather going to support this breakout, but he ends up overskating it a bit. Or maybe he should have taken it up the dot lane. Coming back the other way, there's only 2 guys in the attack zone. The one with the puck is bracketed. You're the closest guy to the next biggest threat. Let's see how the sort goes. No sale. It's small potatoes because this puck doesn't get anywhere near that threat, but I'm a little concerned that Horcoff didn't consider that player. Then there's just a lot of nothing here, just sort of caught in the spin cycle. All right, what else we got? Okay, he's ready to settle down. He declares his check. All right, I'll take it. I'll take this. What's the one thing I don't see going on here? Strides. Skating strides. You called your shot. It's a good call. When do you plan on executing your plan, though? His execution, or lack thereof, is troubling at this point in his development. All right, off the draw, good contact. Something. I'll take something. He gets on his route, presents a reasonable target in the neutral zone for maybe the first time in the game, and he gets the puck. A little bit of a bobbled catch, but we're good, though. All right, we're buying some time. We're scanning. That's great. I'll take that all day. It's simple and safe, but it's better than throwing it in the toilet after the work that he did. That's good. Horcoff is one of 3 guys in front here. He's not part of the retrieval. If you aren't part of the retrieval in this situation, chances are you're going to be one of the first guys back if things go wrong. This puck is clearly lost as it goes up the boards, but that activation in both directions isn't really there. I wish he was more engaged. Finds the puck, dumps it in, gets a change. That's fine. Effectively a power play shift here again, as that really takes up a lot of his time. We're going to go up and back. One thing that I do like in this sequence is that we see elements that he can lean off his center line a fair bit. Some of the bigger guys are really boxy, for lack of a better term, and Horcoff actually shows some flexibility. His stops and turns don't leave his spine at a 90-degree angle with the plane of the ice. So we have that, and we have the mechanics of a stride that can get better without doing anything special, just ordinary course development. I think his skating is actually going to come around. It's not his worst trait, in my opinion, in terms of projecting it to a pro level. All right, catches a short area pass here. Again, he's unpressured. Nice cut to the inside. Now he's working laterally across the zone. This is good. This is one of the things that he has. He bails on it a little quickly, but he faked going up ice, turned it laterally, and made an easy pass, and then moved off that pass. That's good enough for now. His inside cut ability, scores a goal. I'm sure it's out there in the highlights. I think he scores a goal against Germany, where he cuts it right inside and lets it go. He has this lateral ability that's, again, that's one of those things where you just kind of grow. You don't have to be Connor McDavid to be a useful pick, but there's got to be enough elements in your game that translate. That you can't just score junior goals and do junior things and think it's going to work out. All of a sudden, he looks more engaged now. He presents a shallow target near the net, and then there's this low interchange, which is done with some urgency. I like that. As this guy walks off the wall, because you're so far out from the goalie, I'd like him to just wall off this defensive player here, make space. But once again, there's no in-play contact from him. If they tell him to just be a decoy on this play, then fine. But I'd like a little more fight to get open, or a fight for advantageous ice here. But if the coach told him to just stand there and occupy eyes, well, then he's standing there and he's doing that. Activation off the possession change. Opens up but can't handle the pass. I'm not sure if there's any tougher pass to handle than that one. It always hits the boards right before your stick and it just air hockeys by you. No fault there from my angle. On to the next here. Puck retrieval and a hint of positioning before puck. I talked about it before about his reach to try to get pucks and how that's really a junior trait. It doesn't scale well. Getting body position before the puck touch is a big deal to me in terms of details, especially for a player of this size and weaker skating, weaker technical skill. You know, I'd go so far to tell them to surround the puck with your hips over the summer and just make that part, just really exaggerate what it means to actually capture a loose puck. That would go a long way, I think. He times a hit really well, makes heavy contact, almost gets a steal. The hit knocked him a little off balance. That cost him a takeaway. Then he tracks back. He finds a puck. And again, quick inside cut and gets a dump in. No problem. This is closer to what I'd expect to see on most shifts from him. Not every shift, not every game needs to be 110% kill mode. I get it. You need some place to go. And playing that type of game is tiring for a big guy especially, but he plays a dozen shifts in this game. He had just a couple where he was actually engaged in doing something. The next and last shift of the power play shift where basically nothing happens. People like to try to shoehorn guys into a role based on vitals sometimes. So one name I see attached to this player as a comp is Adam Lowry. I think Lowry was probably a good bit more skilled in his draft year, but beyond that, he was a killer. He was going around collecting lunch money at almost every shift. There isn't a ton of mean in Horcoff's game, and it's tough to truly add a natural mean streak later on. We'll see what happens, but because you got to adapt to make it to stick. He's not going to the NHL in skills, so he's got to find a way to contribute in the NHL, and maybe he has an element of mean that is untapped. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Given his penalty minutes over the years, doesn't look like it's usually there, but again, guys can change. For me, it's just about getting over the Mark Jankowski hump. Forget Adam Lowry for a second. Let's get past Mark Jankowski. There are more similarities to me here. Tough feet, occasional teases of skill, retrieval pass combinations, combination plays that I like. Jankowski was probably a better passer at the same age. I think Horcoff is a better shooter. Both struggle a bit with getting into space and skill chaining. I'd really just like to build up Horcoff's game from the bottom. I mentioned some things, but the board play is a big deal to me. Having the ability, what I didn't see in this game that I saw in other games that's a positive is he does have an ability to handle the puck strongly away from his body. A lot of players work on sort of their horizontal, the x-axis skill level. But the y-axis is important too. Being able to control the puck away from your body, because you can put defenders on their heels a little bit. You can grab pucks on the boards and make passes from it. He has some natural ability there where he can make plays away from his body, which is good. I'd like to see him kind of smooth out his puck handling a little bit. His little things that he can build on, just the board play, puck retrievals, finding open space, being more engaged. What kind of player is this going to be? That's the other thing, is what's the identity of this guy? Hard to see what it is right now. Obviously, as a project, I don't see a ton of raw potential here. This is more like a C-level prospect for me. But sometimes these guys can shoot up all of a sudden, and hopefully that's the case here with Horcoff, who goes 24th overall to the Penguins.